While we are waiting for others to join, before we get started here in about 2 minutes, if you guys would go ahead and go to your Twitter page, grab a notebook, piece of paper, grab your cell phone if you're not using it to take notes. This would be a very, very informative conversation. This would be a workshop tonight. So we're gonna, go in and dive deeper. So if you have any questions, please have those prepared. If you want us to walk you through on how to do something, have that prepared as well. Once we get started here, I'll open up, introduce myself, introduce Coach Hughes, and then we will get started with that. The topic of discussion tonight will be marketing, but it will be a marketing workshop. Last week we touched on marketing. Dive deeper last week, but this week now we're going to go into the phase of preparing for a workshop, which is basically hands-on. So if any of you gentlemen that are hopping on or going to hop on, please feel free to have things that you would like to walk through done or need help with done this evening, and we will do our best to accommodate you. Once again, we'll be starting here in about 1 minute. So use the time, use the bathroom, grab some paper, grab a pencil, grab whatever you want to grab, and we'll get started here in about 45 seconds. Alrighty, it is that time. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are listening and or viewing the Recruiting Academy podcast. We want to welcome you. My name is Coach Holman. I'm your host. I have the pleasure of having the beloved Coach Hughes once again with us, joining us this evening. But just want to take the time and say we appreciate you all listening or watching this, even if you're going to be watching it on the rebroadcast or listening to it on a pre-recording. So let's jump right to it. There's no need to waste any more time or anybody else's time. Today we're going to discuss once again the marketing of recruiting. But before we get started, I'm going to have Coach Hughes hop on here and introduce himself again. And Coach Hughes, you got a nugget for us before we get started? You got a nugget that you want to give the people listening or the athletes that are on right now? Go introduce yourself first. Introduce yourself first, and then we'll try to get a nugget from you. I threw you a curveball there.
Oh yeah, that's all right. I'm Coach Hughes. I'm director of player personnel for Coach Holman here, and I help out football kids and football players and parents, and we do all sorts of fun things with Coach Holman. And the only nugget right now that I have to tell you is do your homework. You have 9 weeks left.
No,
9 weeks left of the school I'm at right now. We have 9 weeks left. Make sure your eligibility is ready to go for next year.
And correct me if I'm right or wrong. This last 9 weeks determines if you're eligible for the fall, right? Is that correct?
Correct. So especially eighth grade kids, they want to be little junior high kids, and they don't realize it affects their freshman year.
No, that's Go ahead, Coach. Sorry.
I was gonna say, here's the one thing I want everyone to remember. I understand the OHSSA came out and said eligibility doesn't count. For freshmen, sophomores, and juniors, it still affects your GPA. So don't carry a 1.6 because you're going to play football next year, because you're going to call us up and you're going to want us to help you. We can't do anything with a 1.6. So just because it says they don't have eligibility does not mean that will not affect you. So as I just said it with the opening, do your homework. You have 9 weeks left to go.
Yes, to reiterate, please do your work. For this last year to date has been pretty unique. But another thing is he mentioned OSHA, which is out of the state of Ohio, but you need to check if you're from the state of Florida, state of Georgia, Texas, Tennessee, California, wherever you're from, wherever you're listening to this or watching this from. Please do your due diligence and find out from your local high school association, the state association, in regards to what they're doing. But just because they're doing that doesn't mean, hey, the colleges are doing that as well. So, Coach, you gave a lot there. You gave a lot there. But let's go ahead and get into what I was discussing in regards to the workshop this evening. So we're going to do some hands-on stuff. Before we get started, we're actually going to go through and talk about when you're sending these emails, because I get this question a lot. Well, I'm sending emails, nobody's answering back. Or I'm trying to get in touch with coaches. All right. This method works. I've seen it work almost 90, I'm gonna say 97%, 97.3% of the time. Because you're not just directing the focus at the coach. For many of you who have been following me over the last year, 2 years, whatever it may be, have seen some of my videos I've talked about previously before, the opportunity to make sure you are connecting with the behind the scenes people. And what those behind the scenes people are your director of recruiting, your player personnel, right? And typically with the director of player personnel, director of recruiting, there's usually assistant directors in both of those positions. There's usually interns in both of those positions as well. Those are the individuals who you need to contact, okay? Now, once this video goes viral one day, they're probably a lot of schools are going to change the listing of the emails. So before we get started with the showing of what that is, a lot of schools, like I mentioned, have taken off the emails of those individuals I just listed. A lot of times you have no email addresses, depending on the school, Alabama, that have taken away all the access, so you cannot email anybody in the organization, because they know they get flooded with information. But there are schools that have it blocked on one area, but I'm going to take you through tonight today and show you how you can get through to that in another area in regards to finding those people, behind the scenes people. Now, if you want to take it a step further, and you cannot find any of the schools, a lot of times a lot of these coaches that I'm talking about, and other people, a lot of times you can go through the school directory and try to find it, but that's going to be, you can try to guess, because a lot of times you'll see, they'll have the coach's first name, they'll have his first name, last name at University of Arkansas, Alabama, whatever, right? So, but a lot of times that's not always the scenario. So if you're on here tonight or you're watching, if you have the access to get to a phone, I'm going to have you go, we're going to do this together. We're going to go to Ball State University. So I'm going to share my screen here. Give me 1 second. I'm going to share my screen here. I'm going to start the broadcast. All right. Can everybody see my screen? Coach Hughes, let me know if can everybody see my screen, Coach Hughes? Can you see my screen? Somebody just unmute, let
Yes,
me know.
yes, I have it.
Okay, perfect. All right, so I'm gonna start it from the top here. So let's just go into our browser, type in Ball State. All right, just start Ball State football. All right, Ball State football. Boom, they come up here. One thing while we're on this, while I'm mentioning this right now, athletes, please do your due diligence and parents as well, and check and see who the head coach is. So this guy is still the head coach here, but at least know who the coaches are, so that way you can then find them on Twitter. Okay, so let's get out of here. Let's skip this here. All right, so this is their overall page. So we want to typically you want to go to menu, and then you want to go to I'm gonna find the sport. Um, Find the team first. So we're gonna go to football. All right, boom, football is up. They just hired a new wide receiver coach. Boom, if you're a wide receiver, this is the guy that you need to be targeting. So let's go to coaches. All right. So when we go to coaches, get an idea. They do a really good job of actually showing their faces. And guess what? They give us their emails and they give us their Twitter information. Okay, now I'm going to say this. I have not looked at Ball State before this, so this wasn't something that I did already. No, I've done it so much. So some schools have, some schools don't. But Ball State does a really good job of having all the information on the email addresses and the coach's Twitter information. So if you're an athlete right now, guess what? Might as well go ahead and start. Let me say this because we got to back up here. Hopefully, everybody that's listening to this and on this podcast right now has a Twitter profile. Okay, 93.7% of coaches are conversate on Twitter. Okay, so if you are not on Twitter, you are doing yourself a disservice. Okay, you're not making yourself marketable. I want to touch back on how you make yourself marketable here at the when we finish this up about Twitter and stuff like that. Okay, so boom, if you're locked and loaded right now, listen, you got the coach's email address and their Twitter profile, all their coaches. Okay, every single coach. All right, everybody. All right. So they have everything. This is this is a layup. Okay. So if you guys remember, this guy here, I wish I had my thing, I would circle him. But he is a GA, special team / recruiting. Okay. So he's a person that you would want to reach out to. So you would copy and paste his email in there, and then I would follow him on Twitter as well. Let's see if any other coaches have the recruiting thing in there. Okay. None of them do, other than this guy. Now, it doesn't mean you can't copy or you can't CC the coach in there. Typically, I would tell you this. The person that's making the decision on offering guys or not is usually the recruiting, either the offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator, and or the head coach. The head coach obviously has the ultimate say so at the end of the day when it comes to this, but the recruiting coordinator and the defense coordinator, offensive coordinator, are the ones that typically have you can give the thumbs up or thumbs down when it comes to recruiting a kid, unless it was a situation where there were previous conversations and you were already on their board, so the position coach can then go from there and offer you. Because the coordinators nowadays, get paid as much as the college coaches used to get paid. Now, before they started making multi-million dollars, a lot of these coordinators are making over $500,000, depending on the school, right? So, or close to $500,000. So, I'm going to tell you this: if a coordinator's making that much money, and reality, I could argue and say, yeah, it's a lot of money, but it's not a lot of money when you include taxes. But that's another podcast for another day. But the opportunity for a coach to bring you in, and he understands that $500,000 salary or six-figure salaries on the line. If you don't pan out, he's going to be very, 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 very like uptight about who they offer, right? So that's why you have a lot of times you're like, man, this school's sleeping on me. I thought they sleeping on you. You just that a coach said, hey, listen, I like you, but I don't like you that much where I'm going to risk my job and my family and us, having six figures to bring you in on scholarship. And that's just what it is. You cannot do anything about that, right? So you just have to find your fit, which we're gonna get to that podcast later down the road, but you just have to find your fit. All right, so let's jump back to it. Sorry for that one day get at it, but let's jump back here. So all right, so this guy, he has his email address, he has his Twitter information. Follow this guy. Okay, let's follow this guy here. Let's make sure we add him to our email list. He's one. I usually say email at least three people from the same school. All right, sometimes three minimum. Okay, it could be more than that, but at least three minimum. Because a lot of times some guys check their email, some guys don't. I'm going to tell you this right now. The head coach here, this guy up here atop him, he's not checking his email. Okay, that's why it says BSU football at BSU football at BSU.edu. Okay, that email address goes to maybe somebody all the way down here, like an assist. Okay, boom, here we go. Now we're down here further. Let's see if he has an assistant. He actually does. Okay, so he has a couple different assistants. So getting back to the head coach. Typically, when you email the head coach or email his or send or at least add his email address to the email that you're sending, it's so flooded, it's probably going to get overlooked. So I personally say, hey, don't email the head coach unless, depending on the school. If it's a smaller school, let's say like a D2 school, some FCS programs, okay. But it being a D1 school, like I'm gonna tell you, everybody's emailing the head coach, okay. And his box is so flooded, and he is not the person checking the emails, okay. Let me show you the person that's checking the emails. This lady down here, right here, the administrative coordinator, she's probably checking it. This guy, the recruiting and personnel specialist, is checking it. And usually if he has a personal assistant, she's the one like going through, but she's just more so going through and checking to see if like a parent emailed the head coach and wanted to check on their kid or something like that. Okay. All right, so we see this recruiting and personnel specialist. This was somebody we just talked about at the beginning of the podcast. This is a guy that you would want to add in the email. Okay, boom. He gives you his email address and he gives you his Twitter information. So guess what you should do? Follow him on Twitter. Okay, but wait 1 second before you follow him on Twitter. We're gonna get to that. Just don't follow him on Twitter just because we said follow him on Twitter. There's some things that need to be done before you follow him on Twitter. Okay, or you're gonna miss out on your opportunity. All right. So right now we have two people for sure locked in. Those are really two good people. I would be shocked if one of those two guys do not answer your email back. Okay. And then, so as I mentioned, if you're an offensive player, you would want to go and seek the offensive coordinator here. Defensive player, you want to go and seek the defensive coordinator. All right. So be careful with this guy. He's a coordinator, but he's a run game coordinator. You want the offensive or defensive coordinator to add as a third person. And then if you want to add the fourth person as your position coach, boom, so be it. Go for it. Okay. But before I jump off of this and get away, I want to talk about Twitter real fast. Please make sure you have everything in order before you send out an email, before you add a coach on Twitter, okay? And I mentioned this maybe last week, and Coach Hughes can correct me if I'm wrong. When they open your email or you add them, they get a notification, okay? Listen, everybody gets a notification when somebody adds them, right? Now, they either choose to ignore it and then they come back to it later, or, they just come back to it at a later time with that. But everybody gets notification. When I go to my whatever page I go to, I see notifications that, this person added me, X, Y, and Z. Boom. Now, a college coach can then say, okay, all right, this person added, I'm going to go look at their profile just to see, right? And if they see anything that's intriguing, guess what? That's what we call, at the end of the day, that is what we call things that help make your page stand out. Okay, attention grabbers. That's the word I'm looking for. Sorry. So you want to make sure you have a bunch of attention grabbers on your Twitter page before you start emailing coaches and add them on Twitter. Okay, this is something that I do and Coach Hughes do. We go through and check your Twitter page, make sure your huddle film is up to date. Make sure your plays are in line like they need. You need attention grabbers, right? Your bio and your Twitter, you need attention grabbers, right? Because these coaches are going to go to your page, right? They have so many people going to their page. I want to drop another nugget here in a second. They have so many people they're going to so many guys' pages. If you don't have any attention grabbers, they're going to go right by you and like, okay, cool. All right. No height, no weight, no GPA, no test score, none of that stuff. Okay, boom, on to it. All right, here's a nugget I want to drop there's a lot of gems I'm dropping tonight. But before we go to the next thing, depending on the school, okay, 9 times out of 10, 10 out of 10, depending on the school, FCS, FBS, coaches, all right, these guys that you see here, these faces you see here, these faces here, okay, these faces here, these are not the guys that are answering those Twitter messages, okay? These guys down here, these GAs, graduate assistants, they're the ones a lot of time answering these Twitter messages, sometimes texting you and stuff like that, okay? I ain't gonna mention the school. I can mention the school. Who cares? I can mention the school. The Ohio State University, okay, my alma mater, is notorious for sending over 300, 400, sometimes 500 text messages each morning to recruits, during the time they can contact them and stuff like that. Guess who's doing that? Anybody want to take a wild guess? Coach Hughes, you want to take a wild guess? Who's doing that?
The graduate assistant.
Absolutely. The
GA,
graduate assistant. The GA is doing that. Well, Coach, why is the GA doing it? Usually a lot of times they're tech savvy. And guess what? I want you guys to, I know a lot of these people on here are maybe never bought a car, but we have some people that have bought cars or their parents have bought cars. A lot of times, you have something to get you into the car dealership. And then when you get there, there's somebody to sell you, right? So a lot of times these GAs are the marketing guys to get you guys into the building, get you to come visit the school. And then these guys up here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 15, how many of them? These are the guys that are gonna close the deal. Okay. They're gonna close the deal when you come to get in regards to you getting offered and stuff like that. So just know you may be talking to a graduate assistant when you were texting or talking to a coach on Twitter. And then usually a lot of times I want you guys to pick up on this when you go on visits. The GA is like so tight with you because guess what? The GA has been the one talking to you. He knows pretty much everything about you. And the coach, not to say that the position coach doesn't know anything. It's just the fact that the GA was handling a lot of his communication. Okay. So that is that. Let's see here. Do we have anything else? No, Coach Hughes, did I miss anything? Is that pretty much it? I think that wraps it.
I think you wrapped pretty much everything up as far as I know.
Okay, let's open it up for questions, and then I will go back to I will go back to all right. So what questions do we have initially before we jump to something else? Does any gentlemen on here have any questions? Anybody, if you want to unmute yourself, go ahead.
At when can coaches start talking back to us? Because I heard that they can't contact you till your junior year or say anything back. So is that accurate or?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So they cannot talk. They cannot DM you, or they cannot talk to you until you're to September 1st of your junior year. Okay. So if you are a underclassman, let's just use this year for it. If you're 2020, 2023, they cannot talk to you. Okay. If they're on the FBS level, FCS level, and then D2, they can do their thing. But so to keep to further on that, on top of that, they can, and this is a way around it, and this is why everybody's upset because we're in a dead period right now, at least until May 31st. a way to get around that was to invite you up to campus. And a lot of times the way they invited you up to campus was they would send some stuff in the mail, or they would have your coach say, hey, University of Tennessee wants you to come up next week for a visit. So they can talk to your coach, they can talk to your parents, they just can't talk to you. So your mom, you can actually call them as much as you want. Now they might say, okay, hey, who is this? It's such and such. Okay, we're ready. Okay, I'm in there. Okay, yeah, I can't really talk to you. I gotta hang up this phone call, right? But they can talk to other people. They can talk to me on your behalf. They can talk to Coach Hughes on your behalf. They can talk to everybody pretty much except you, almost everybody, but your coaches, and then your parents as well. But they typically, a lot of times they're going to talk to your coaches first, and they'll send stuff to your mail. Oh man, there's so much stuff I can drop on this podcast. I'm going to go ahead and drop it. So this is something I talked about last year, and years prior. So when you guys are filling out these questionnaires, make sure you put down your home address, because a lot of times, let's be honest, kids transfer, things happen, so if you got your information going to the school, a lot of times it may not get to you. Coaches hold mail, right? It is what it is, right? Coach might say, hey, I'm waiting for this kid to get his grades up before I give him the mail, right? Is that fair? I can't really speak on that, but I'm not going to speak on that. Let me say that. But and that's not only just because of that, but also, who could have predicted that we would be in the situation we are with COVID-19 at this moment? A lot of time at that time, this time, a lot of schools were closed down. There was no way to access your mail and stuff like that. So it could have been a potential school that wanted to reach out to you, and that had interest in you. Which a lot of times they will find you. They can find you if you make yourself available and marketable to be found. Then they could find you elsewhere. But a lot of times, you underclassmen, they were going to reach out to you guys via mail, and they can do that at any point in time. So they usually, how they talk to you really is by sending you a camp flyer. And once you come on campus, it's free game. They can talk to you all you want, but once you leave, hands up, they can't really do anything. But a lot of times they want you guys to come on campus, come on visits, come on unofficial visits. We're gonna get the visits at another point in time for another podcast. But they want you guys to come on to campus, and then that way they can talk to you, have a conversation with you, show you around the facility and all that good stuff. So to answer your question, that is the answer to your question. And I know I gave you a little bit more on top of that, so you can know what to expect. Any other questions before we jump to the next piece here? Coach Hughes, get ready. You're getting ready to take the stage here in a second. Any other questions before Coach Hughes takes off here? All right. So, Coach Hughes, the floor is yours. Tell us what next in regards to tell us something new or something that athletes can do to make themselves marketable.
We talked about grades earlier in the broadcast, and I got to thinking about make sure your junior year you take your SAT and what's the other one? There's two of them. There's a SAT and the ACT. So that way, if you want to retake them, you have time to make sure that you get the scores that you want or the best scores possible. So that way, because you can't apply to other colleges, you cannot apply to colleges without the scores. So that will help you out quite a bit. And the other is to make sure you keep your GPA up. Coach Holman, I was talking about. I was at a camp with a couple kids, and they were with like guys from like Cornell and these Ivy League schools. Well, the kid that they wanted didn't have the GPA, and the other sort of like second string kid was eligible because of his GPA and his SAT scores. So just make sure like you get your registrations done, you get your SATs done, and just have yourself set academically so that way that we can help handle the football end of it. Because we can't do your homework, but we can help you with the other end of it. what else we got, Coach?
I guess with that being said, does anybody have any initial questions off of that in regards to grades? And just to piggyback off that, while we're waiting for somebody that may have a question, he junior year, you definitely want to take it by your junior year, but there's nothing wrong with taking it, your sophomore year, your freshman year. The sooner you take it, the better off you'll be. But what happens a lot of times is athletes. Let me jump back to that in a second. Athletes wait until athletes and parents. I ain't gonna just say athletes because a lot of times their parents are the ones funding their dreams and opportunities. They wait till the senior year to do everything. I'm gonna wait till his senior year to get him into private training. I'm gonna wait till his senior year to have him go to camps. I'm gonna wait till his senior year until we take the test, right? So don't be in that. Oh, I'm gonna wait till my senior year to go hard and practice hard and do my schoolwork. Get out of that mindset. It's a cycle that goes throughout the whole high school persona. That okay, hey, my senior year, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. Listen, a lot of times, whew, my goodness. Think about the seniors that were some of the seniors that were 2021 guys that didn't have a senior year, right? They said, okay, well, my senior, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this. And there's some athletes right now that didn't have a senior year, right? So don't think, oh, okay, you wait last minute, you wait till your senior year, and you think things are just gonna start falling into place. I'm telling you now, it's too competitive. It is too competitive. Like, okay, this is the issue. This is why this is the issue we have. Okay, and I want everybody to listen very, very closely. Okay, this is the issue we have. The supply for scholarships is so high. Excuse me. Sorry. Let me rephrase that. The supply for scholarships is so low. Okay, the demand is so high. Okay, it's unbalanced. Okay, the demand, and what I mean by demand, this is what demand means. The number of kids that want scholarship opportunities is through the roof. Okay, but guess what? The number of the supply of scholarships is on the floor. Okay, that's a big difference. The floor, everybody knows that term. The floor is the scholarships. Okay, the ceiling is the demand for scholarships. Okay, so listen, if you are an athlete, okay, I want parents listening to this as well. If you're an athlete and you're not doing the due diligence on your own, or getting in touch with resources, like the recruiting academy, and getting the help you need, you're going to be behind the 8 ball. You're going to be behind the 8 ball. All right. And listen, every kid is initially not going to get an offer their senior year. A lot of guys get offers between their sophomore years and their junior years. Okay. Now there are situations where some kids are late bloomers, but they were getting themselves in position. They were getting ready for when the opportunity came to be able to maximize that. Okay. So please, athletes, parents, once again, okay, put yourself in the driver's seat. Don't be in the back seat of the car saying, okay, hey, I want an opportunity to go leverage my skill set. And this, once again, this is not just for football. This is something that goes across every sport: football, basketball, lacrosse, tennis, soccer, baseball, wrestling, you name it. Okay, put yourself in position right now. Okay, today. All right, you should have did it last week, but that's okay. Today, from this day forward, put yourself in position. Okay, put yourself in position to go take advantage of the opportunity. Okay. Last thing here, we're gonna jump on Twitter. I will hop on to we're gonna hop on to my Twitter. Actually, let me see here. I think we can hop on. I'm trying to figure out what kid Twitter we can hop on to. Give me one sec. We're gonna hop on to a kid's Twitter. Actually, let me see here. Give me 1 second here. We're gonna do something really fast here. We're going to do something really fast. I doubt I have that on here, but we're going to see here. Grab this image here. There is an image floating out there on the World Wide Web. kid. Okay, booyah. Can you guys see my screen now? Okay, we're gonna do this here. All right. So if you individuals that have Twitter and you have access to get on and you have the ability to get on that, I would go ahead and say get on that. Okay, this is gonna be fantastic. I love technology. Here we go. Can we put both there? Oh my goodness. Can everybody see this? Coach Hughes, can you see this? Can you guys see this?
Yeah, I got it. Nice one.
Okay, perfect. This is fantastic. All right, so this is an example of a Twitter bio page that should be. I'm probably gonna flip between. Let's go to this one. This is an official like Twitter setup. Okay, so as you all can see, all right, we want to have somewhat of a headshot. It can be something, you with your helmet off, something where they can see your face. Okay. You want to use your real name. Okay. All right. Real name, because I just mentioned to you earlier is like if a coach wants to try to like find you, right? He saw your tape, he saw everything. Now he wants to go on your Twitter and see what type of kid you are. Look at your character. Just look at your bio and see what's in there. Make sure they can find you. Okay, make sure they can find you. And the next thing is gonna let's say your name is like John Smith. Okay, or actually now let's use like Devin Smith, some name that's kind of like typical, like a typical name. So if there's like, let's say a gazillion Devin Smiths, all right, and the coach types in your name, Devin Smith, in there, and it's a gazillion people in there, I'm gonna tell you this: it's gonna be. He might be looking for you, but he might find another Devin Smith, and he might say, "Okay, hey, well, dang, this guy looks pretty good. I was looking for another guy, but this Devin Smith looks pretty good." So this is why the bio is important. So I don't know if you guys know, but you guys should know. When you have your friends, you go through Twitter, you can look into their, you can type in a name, and then you'll see, person's name in their bio, right? So that's why it's important for you to have, and this is a perfect example, GPA, ACT score, class year, position. If you play both sides, that's cool. O-line, D-line, quarterback, safety, wide receiver, corner, whatever. High school, spell it out if possible. I know sometimes it could be difficult, but try to spell it out. Don't abbreviate. Any affiliations that you have, 7-on-7 team, club team, anything of such. And then height, weight, stars, you can, but who cares about the stars? Nobody cares about the stars. And then zip code and any 247. If you have a 2.247 sports link, page link or something like that, add that in there just for verification purposes. Because a lot of times, especially right now, there not being any visits, coaches have to just basically rely on what you put on there. And if you have something, a link or something that can verify your height and weight and all that good stuff, that does a lot. Because I'm gonna tell you this: when you first go to a college campus on a visit, the first thing they're gonna do is get your measurements. They're gonna get your measurements because they want to know how big you are, your neck size, your wingspan, your hand size, all that good stuff. They want to know all that information. Okay, jumping down here. Oh, here's a key thing. Make sure you're able to receive direct messages. Okay, so leave that inbox open. Okay, leave that box open. If you don't know how to do it, usually you can go in your settings and go to privacy, and it should say something about being able to accept messages or direct message, something like that. So just change that setting in your thing, because that way, coaches can slide in your DMs. Okay. All right. Let's jump down to Huddle. Okay, so you want to put your Huddle link right there where it is in the middle. Put your city and state there to the left of that Huddle link there in the middle. And then, another thing that you want to do is to post your highlight tape and then pin it to your page. Okay. So when you go here, you'll go down here, you'll click that little blue plus, and it looks like a feather there. Click that, drop your Huddle link, your highlight link. Let me say your highlight tape link in there, and then hit post, and then go back to your homepage or your profile page, and it'll show the tweet that you just did. Click the three little dots there to the top right, and then go to pin tweet. That locks the tweets in there. This is all stuff that's going to be able to help you make sure you are you have those attention grabbers. Okay, attention grabbers. So boom, you want to have information in the bio, your link, your huddle link in there, and then also pin it to your page. Okay, because a lot of times coaches overlook that. They want to go, to your tweets and see. Be mindful of what you like and you retweet. Okay, you see that button there that says likes. They can go in there and see your history, like your history of everything that you liked, and then they obviously see your retweets as well. But just be mindful. Okay, be mindful. Because going back to what I said, these coaches have their jobs on the line. Okay, we're talking like six figures, and if it's a program that's of high character, and you're doing stuff that is not of high character, they're gonna pull that off or not offer you at all. Okay. So this is the stuff I'm talking about tonight. Like, just put yourself in position and just make sure you're doing everything you can. Now, does that always mean that, hey, you're gonna have that automatically guarantees a shot for you to play, to get your that have the opportunity to leverage your skill set and have your schooling pay for it? No, but I'd rather make sure I'm doing everything I can. All right, put myself in position. So if I don't get that initial one that I want, I get something down the line because everything else was taken care of. Okay. This is all about timing and opportunity. Okay. Like I said, there's a lot of scholarship. There's a huge demand for the opportunity to get a scholarship. There's not that many scholarships. Okay. Last thing here before we wrap this up, there's so many gems that we don't drop tonight. The last thing is this. Sorry, excuse me. Just make sure you're doing everything you possibly can. Okay, you're maximizing your counselors, your football coaches, and this thing we call Twitter here. All right. The last thing I'm gonna say is when you go to these camps, we're good. Okay. When we go to these camps, when we are at school, when we're out and about meeting other athletes and stuff like that, make sure you add these guys. Okay. And this is the reason why I mentioned this last week. I'm going to mention it again, just for those who missed it. When you build your network up, this is part of networking. We haven't got to networking yet. We talked about it in a couple weeks ago. When you build your network up and you retweet your huddle, highlights about there, okay? And your boy that lives, let's say you live in Florida, and your boy out in Seattle, or a guy you met out at a camp, he lives in New Orleans, or he lives in Arizona, or he lives in New York, he retweets that out. Guess who sees that? His friends see that. Not only did your friends see it, okay, hopefully they retweet it, your teammates retweet it. Now your boy, your friend that you met, or your buddy yours that you met at a camp, he retweets it. Now all his people see it. And if he has a coach or coaches following him, he's done with his recruiting, whatever it may be, like, boom, they're gonna be like, okay, who's this guy? Is this guy? He just retweeted somebody. We were recruiting him, but now he's committed already. Okay, but who's this person? Make sure everything is what it needs to be. Your attention grabbers are in position. Your film is in position. And you are in position at the end of the day to take advantage. Remember this. A scholarship is not free. Okay. Get out the mindset of a scholarship is free. Scholarship is not free. Okay. You are exchanging. Okay. Exchange. Okay. That means you're giving something. Okay. To get something. Okay. You're exchanging your body, your mental health, your time, your energy, for an opportunity to go and play the sport that you want to play, whether it's football, basketball, soccer, lacrosse, tennis. When they say, okay, hey, we want to offer you a scholarship, it's not a free scholarship. Okay, it's not free. We're going to talk about this on the podcast about the business of athletics. It's not free. Okay, you're exchanging your time, your energy, your body, your mental capacity. Okay, in order for you to get that scholarship. Okay. So please get out the mindset, okay, I'm gonna get a free scholarship. No, this is a business. Okay. It is a business. Remember that. Nothing's never free. It's just exchanging. You're exchanging your life. And yes, I said your life, your mind, your body, your time, all that. Okay. It can exchange. We give you this, we want this. And that's exactly what it is. All right. So I'm gonna wrap it up. Any questions before we end this thing this evening? Any questions? Coach Hughes, any final words?
No, I think you wrapped up everything really well.
All right. Well, listen. Any questions from our people that joined us tonight? Any questions?
Do you all help us with recruiting and stuff, or is that like just a no?
So we're able to do like a private consultation where we would basically go in depth and kind of like show you like everything. That was I ain't gonna lie, JB, my mouth is kind of just like almost hanging off just because I feel like it was just so much stuff there. But yeah, we give you a plan, but at the end of the day, like Coach Hughes said, we can't do the work. We cannot do the work for you. We're not the ones sitting in the classroom. We can't take the test for you, right? All we can do is build a bridge for you and say, okay, hey, for you to be able to cross this bridge, these are the things you need to do. Guess who has to walk across that bridge, JB? You do, right? So JB, if you want to drop your information in the chat, we'll have somebody reach out to you and get that done. Any other questions or concerns in regards to anything we discussed this evening?
What information do you need so I can drop it in the chat?
Drop your email and then your phone number as well in the chat. And then we will have Coach Hughes, if you grab that information from him, once he drops it in the chat, we'll go from there. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, we want to just thank you guys again for taking the time to listen to the Recruiting Academy podcast. And we'll see you next week. God bless.